All right, so President Ramaphosa has finished his 2 days of testimony at the State Capture Commission. And of course, it's a pivotal moment because his testimony ends the oral hearings at the Commission. The Commission will now go on to compile a full report, which will hopefully give us a full picture of state capture and how it destroyed our systems. Let's bring in our reporter, Govan Whittles. He's been monitoring proceedings for the past few days for us. Govan, thank you so much for joining us. So the President, the first citizen, has wrapped up the oral hearings at the State Capture Commission. It's been 2 days of testimony from him. But I suppose something that many people will look at is the fact that this president was prepared to come and speak. And even though he's been criticised perhaps for not answering all the questions, his predecessor fought tooth and nail and is currently sitting in jail because he refused to come to this commission.
That's right. President Cyril Ramaphosa's appearance here has been framed as him subjecting himself to accountability, being willing to answer questions here. And in much of his testimony, he sought to distance himself from the project of state capture and explained as much as he could how at every turn where he was either confronted by this project of state capture or saw it, he either distanced himself from it or made effort or an active effort to try and fight it. This has, of course, raised a lot of questions, Sally, particularly around to which extent the president had been involved in some of the decisions which had led to the state being captured. Eventually, all those questions will be answered by former deputy by the current acting Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. But what's interesting here is the way that the president has responded to a question about how effective the report would be from acting Chief Justice Zondo, considering that the former president chose not to appear here and he didn't get questioned about important matters in which he was implicated. And to that, the president saying that that would depend on the way that the report is written and the comments by the acting Chief Justice Raymond Zondo, so clearly indicating that it does believe it will have an impact, but not necessarily a huge impact that would render the report inconclusive.
And Govan, what does the president say today about what his government is doing about state capture? Was it just a reiteration of the interventions he mentioned yesterday? Has he painted it as an organisation and a government that's fully turned the corner on state capture?
Well, he believes that this commission of inquiry would be turning the corner, and it appears from his testimony that he believes the report which comes out of this commission by the acting Chief Justice would do much in charting a new path for the country. It's one that the president says he's already started building and charting through the interventions which he believes are necessary after his 5-year experience as deputy president in cabinet. And one of the things which was interesting about his testimony is how he explained that the previous cabinet under the leadership of former President Jacob Zuma operated in silos, essentially saying that when you're the head of the department, the minister involved, the only other time the role players in your department would meet each other is when you were involved, and you were essentially the linchpin that kept everything in the department together. The president explaining that his new integrated model allows for ministers to interact freely about their projects with each other, and this leaves less room for ministers to embark on state capture projects. That's just one of the interventions. He's also spoken about SARS and how that's been rebuilt, and particularly proud of that initiative and intervention. And then the National Prosecuting Authority and the police, which the president says are on their way to being stabilized. Let's have a look now at some of his comments, Zali.
And our task now, as we move forward, and this is where the Commission will help us play a key role to deal with all the things that went wrong, and also those who participated, who were perpetrators in all this. Because in a way, your commission, or the commission, the commission is really going to be the final washing machine that will help us cleanse the state, the various agencies, and identify those who have committed and perpetrated wrong things. This is what we will be able to do, because these things happened.
Govan, I wonder if you could explain to us what the President said about the fact that he's brought the State Security Agency into the presidency. Now, this is something, obviously, that he announced when he reshuffled his cabinet. Many said is directly linked to the July unrest and a sense that the intelligence services may in some way be compromised. What is the link between that and the State Capture Commission? Why did this come up today at a Commission of Inquiry for State Capture?
Because the President was answering questions about testimony put forward by the former acting Director General of the State Security Agency, Loyiso Jafta, which related to an investigation into what many have called a rogue spy unit in the SSA, which had been given ammunition as well as finances, and which were non-SSA members, raising a serious concern. And they were, according to a report by the now Special Advisor on Intelligence to the President, Dr. Sidney Mufamadi, that unit had been operating and appeared to be involved in political factions within the ANC. So it's in that context that he answers it. But to draw the link between that investigation, that high-level review panel report, and his decision to move the SSA into the presidency, we need to look at another comment given by the President today, where he said that it is not an unreasonable proposition that the investigation into this unit and the unit itself could be linked to the July unrest. And then the President, going a step further, when asked about his decision to move the SSA into the presidency, he says that he did it in part based on the findings and the content of that high-level review panel report authored by Dr. Mufamadi, which clearly points to the former ambassador to Japan, Thulani Dlomo, as being involved in the recruitment of these non-SSA members. And some analysts and commentary has gone further, saying that this unit is loyal to former President Jacob Zuma and destabilized the country after former President Jacob Zuma was arrested. But we have no definitive proof on that. So the President saying he moved it to the presidency because of that, and he says that the implementation of that report by Dr. Mufamadi is happening and will happen with great haste.
It's interesting that this comes on the day that the President acknowledges that the factional battles within the ANC often stop them from acting decisively on things like corruption and state capture. And it suggests, the tone of his comment surely suggests, does it, Govan, that the battle is not over in some sectors?
It does suggest so, but the President does appear to believe that he has the upper hand and that he has the support of enough people within the ANC to push ahead with this mission. Although what was clear from his testimony here is that he does consider the stability of the country to be intrinsically linked to the stability of the ANC. And that was captured in his comment when he said that he believed the country had hit rock bottom, but he didn't believe that another moment of state capture would happen again when asked by Acting Chief Justice Raymond Zondo. Instead, he says that this commission would be able to prevent another moment of state capture, and it would also be prevented through the renewal of the ANC. In fact, he said it all starts with the party, clearly pointing out that he believes that the renewal of the ANC is key to achieving his ambitions for the country. But it does appear as if the ANC, or rather the President, is willing to act on some of the recommendations that will come out here and is anticipating very strong recommendations and findings from this commission. Let's have a look at what they had to say about that.
Chairperson, I think we've reached a watershed moment. The release, well, let me start off with the establishment of the commission was a crossroads for us. And we either established the commission or we didn't. I hold the belief that if we didn't establish the commission, we would have continued to waddle in in a situation where corruption continued unabated, in the dark, much as I think the public protector had already revealed portions of it. But the crossroads we reached was that we chose the right path. And the right path was to establish this commission. Because this commission has given us the moment of truth. It's a watershed moment. We've arrived at a juncture, an important juncture, to a point, and it's a defining moment for us, to a point where I don't ever envisage in our continuing journey of our democracy that we should and will have another state capture moment. So I see this as the one and last state capture occasion or moment for us. And we've hit rock bottom as a country, as a nation, and the only way must be up.
Yes, well, Govan, we've reached rock bottom, says the President. The only way is up, unless, of course, we start digging at that point. So let's hope that the President is right and that we are indeed through the worst. Thank you so much for your reporting today. Much appreciated. That's eNCA reporter Govan Whittles.